to school board meeting to order. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today we do have some folks joining us for our meeting. So our Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Mr. Scott Flowers, Chief of Staff. Our mission statement will be read by Dr. Belinda Reyes, Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Curriculum. Interpretation services will be done by Janet Long, Coordinator for the Multicultural Department. And before we get to that, I would ask you to please stand for a moment of silence with me. Thank you.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Jeanette Long, and I'm here for Interpretation Services. Buenas noches, soy la doctora Jeanette Long y estoy aquí para servicios de interpretación para que lo necesiten.
Thank you, Dr. Long. Board members, I know we typically have positive comments, but I would also like to point out that Mr. Melendez is joining us online. Mr. Melendez, can you hear us?
Well, he was there. Julius. Playing hard to get.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Thank
Sorry, can you hear
you.
me?
Yes, and in order for him to be able to vote, we do have to make sure that we vote him in as a member of today's board meeting. So I will entertain a motion to allow Mr. Melendez to join in virtually, please.
I move to approve the motion, or I move to approve to allow Julius to attend virtually.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. And I'll go ahead and start with positive comments with Dr. Pace.
With your permission, Madam Chair, I was going to do just a short superintendent's update, but I would rather just share right now, if that's okay.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
If I could ask Katrina Ponzini and Mr. Marcus Marchena to stand for just a moment. Board members, I know that one of your key initiatives was the development of a small business and veteran business program. So I'm honored tonight to have Mr. Marchena here. You know, he was instrumental in helping to draft policy for us. And we have now appointed Katrina Ponzini from our purchasing department to be the supervisor of this new program. So we are preparing to try to stand it up as of July 1st and move that forward. So just want to thank the board for your leadership and also thank Marcos and Katrina for your leadership and the steps that come next and helping us to engage our business community. Thank you.
Thank you for that work.
And then I just wanted to share that since the Osceola Prosper announcement was made, whereby the county is using some of their ARP dollars to offer free tuition to members of the class of 22 who wish to pursue further education at either Valencia College or OTEC, we have had 771 of our graduating seniors apply to that program. So super excited to see those numbers come in. So just wanted to share that good news.
Great news. Thank you, Dr. Pace. Mr. Bass?
First of all, as always, I want to thank everyone for attending. It's real exciting to come to a school board meeting in the middle of the summer, but thank you for showing up. Teachers, I hope you're enjoying your well-deserved summer break. It's great to be able to watch all the look at all the vacation photos, vacation pictures. I'm jealous of some of the trips that some of our teachers were able to make, but I really hope you enjoy that. Last week, we board members had a chance to spend some time with some of our colleagues statewide in Tampa with the FSBA and FADS conference. It was very informative. It's nice to hear from other board members, superintendents, and some of the challenges that they're going through, and there's quite a bit of overlap statewide, so it was very informative. Enjoyed that. I always give my Boys and Girls Club update. We have the location, we have the lease, we have the funding. Now Boys and Girls Club is now securing the staffing. So we're working on that through the summer, and hopefully by the beginning of the school year we'll be open. I know we tried to get it open sooner, but the wheels of progress sometimes move a little bit slower than you like for them to move too. Mentor program, something I've been trying to spearhead, kind of hitching my wagon to one of our teachers in our district who have kind of started the mentor program. So we're going to try to expand on that. We have a meeting scheduled for the 27th, and I hope to bring back some good information, positive information. And I want to share with you this. It's a cool program that a colleague of mine, not a colleague, a friend of mine in St. Cloud, he just moved down here from St. Louis, and he said, I can't believe you guys aren't using this, and it's called Peer Forward. And Peer Forward is a platform where it's centered around teenagers mentoring other teenagers. And he said sometimes that, a 17-year-old is more inclined to listen to one of their peers more so than, maybe not just listen to them, but maybe to kind of help support, kind of help push them along a little bit. So what Peer Forward will do, they come in and they train the 8 most influential students in any particular school, mainly juniors or seniors, and for them to become leaders. And then they reach out to their peers and help them along. Just a quick example, they said, like, if you wanted to be an architect, that means as a peer, I need to tell you the importance of staying in math class and pay attention to geometry. But it's an interesting concept. I passed it on to Anthony Cook, and he said it sounds legit according to his words, and he's looking into some of the other districts who are currently using that program. So hopefully I'll update that at the next board meeting. And since we're in a school board meeting, I want to leave you something somewhat educational. It seems like we always here lately, society's been looking at historical figures, and some were good and some were bad, and we're passing judgment. But I found a historical figure that everyone in this room will collectively appreciate. He's touched the lives of everyone. He passed away in 1950. His name was Willis Carrier. Does anybody know who Willis Carrier was? You do, don't you? Who was he, Mark?
Yeah, HVAC.
You invented the air conditioner. So
Important.
Thank you, Mr. Carrier. So that's all I have.
I agree, thank you, Mr. Carrier. I will just go ahead and elevate the students of ALCO. So team, I know we all attended some graduations during the cycle this year. I attended along with Mr. Melendez the ALCO graduation last week, and I can tell you that I was so inspired by how tenacious those students are and how dedicated our teachers at ALCO are. So good job with making sure that you have the right people in that specific school. It was really great to witness. If you have not attended an ALCO, and I extend this invitation to anybody in the community, if you have not attended an ALCO graduation and you want to be inspired by the most tenacious people in our community, please, please, please attend, because it was an incredible time. So I will yield my time. Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone who graduated, but obviously that was our last graduation, ALCO. I did attend that last year. Wish I could have attended it this year. I hit almost every single graduation. I think I missed one. Actually, I missed 2 with ALCO, but it's amazing how many kids were excited to get out into the world and do great things. So I'm hoping that you enjoy the summer, and then you prepare yourself to get right back into it, which kind of brings me down to our labor force here. I really hope that you guys are enjoying this time off, being with your families, being with your children, and just not having the pressures and drama of being at school. So God bless you. I hope you guys are all enjoying it. I hope you really get to refresh and recharge yourselves, and hopefully we can get some good work done for you here over the summer, so that when you come back, you have a better place to come back to. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez, do you have anything?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I just want to echo your sentiments there on ALCO. When they actually had a box of Kleenex assigned to each station, we're like, okay, what's this about? And then when each one of the students comes out and gives their 5-minute testimonial, it was phenomenal. At the end of the day, everybody learns at different paces. And so, when these folks are at ALCO saying, hey, I want to take my life back, that means something, because these are people on their own saying that they want to take control of their educational future and make a difference. So I really support the staff that's out there. I felt guilty that I haven't visited the school physically, but I think I'm going to go out there and give them the support that they need, because what they're doing are truly miracle workers. And so, and the other thing to note too is we just went to Tampa for Florida School Board Association conference. And that kind of changed our perspective a little bit as well, because the keynote speaker there, I think last year we were talking about, the theme was meeting students where they're at. This year, it's about, what are the outcomes? What's important? Because unfortunately, during the course of a school board year, we get a lot of different, things that draw our attention to different things that matter. Because everything's important to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, are we reaching our goals? And I think that's something that's really important. I think we spoke about it at the last board meeting. Whenever we renew a software contract, we want to know, well, how many students are getting the benefits? How many are improving the results? And I think that's something that I kind of got out of that. And I really want to continue moving forward. And also I want to kind of commend the Education Foundation again. Last week I got it a little bit confused, because we have different relationships every which way in this district. And from what I understand, the Education Foundation is a charter holder of Pelago, and the school district is the actual management company. And so I was under the impression last week that it was the other way around. And I just want to let them know that, I appreciate everything the foundation does. They do multiple scholarships every single year. That was something that Mr. Bass and I attended this year. We got to see, numerous kids receive scholarships in different fields. So it's not like scholarships for only one group of students. There's students with different interests and different vocations and different specialties receiving scholarships. And I think that's important, because as a school district, we just want to see students progress, period. Whether they want to be a mechanic or they want to go to Harvard, we should encourage students to reach their full potential no matter what that is. And I believe that the foundation is a mechanism to do that, and I appreciate all the hard work that they do to achieve that. And so with that, I just want to again echo the fact that it's the summertime. Please refresh. I also saw the Facebook posts of people visiting different places, and it's nice to see that our educators are kind of getting a recharge, because we really want to make sure that we're excited about keeping them as educators in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Dr. Pace, let's go ahead and move over to the appointments and transfers, please.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, if I could please invite Ms. Brandon Nicholson and Ms. Faust to stand. Board members, in our efforts to make sure that we have strong teams across the district that work for everybody and give them the experience that they need to continue to grow as leaders, I'm recommending the transfer of Brandon Nicholson, currently assistant principal at Cypress Elementary, to become the assistant principal at Floor Ridge Elementary with Mr. Shasek in the back. And Ms. Megan Faust, currently the assistant principal at Chestnut Elementary School for Science and Engineering, to become the assistant principal at Cypress Elementary School.
Move to approve. You want to do it separately?
I have a motion by Mr. Bass,
Second.
second by Mr. Arguello. All those in favor? Aye. Mr. Melendez? I heard 3.
Julius?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson and Ms. Faust. And now, if I could invite Ms. Michele Morales Reyes, assistant principal, to come forward, please. Board members, I'm honored tonight to recommend Ms. Michele Morales Reyes to be our new assistant principal at Chestnut Elementary School for Science and Engineering. She started her career as a teacher at Chestnut Elementary School and also Deerwood Elementary School. She was the 21st Century Site Coordinator for our Osceola County School District, an avid site coordinator, learning resource specialist, and math science coach at Deerwood Elementary School, and she's been serving most recently as the District Science Resource Specialist for the Osceola School District. With her passion in the fields of math and science, I'm absolutely confident she'll be a huge asset to Mr. Bressler and his team as they continue to build their science and engineering programs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Arguello, second by Mr. Bass. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
It passes 4-0. Congratulations.
I would like to take this moment to extend my gratitude to Dr. Pace, all board members, and staff for blessing me with this amazing opportunity to share my wisdom and knowledge with not only the administration, but primarily the students, parents, and staff of Chestnut Elementary. Additionally, I thank my parents for always believing in me and encouraging me to reach for the stars and never give up. Dad, we made it. Mamita, te amo. My sister Laura has been an enormous support system in my life, and it is because of that support that I have been able to accomplish my goals and be where I am today. So I thank you every day. Mr. Confessor, my mentor, thank you for opening the doors at Chestnut Elementary in 2014 and welcoming me as part of your staff and allowing me to spread my wings and grow. You are definitely one of the kind. I appreciate it. Eres el mejor. You're the best. Mr. Bressler, thank you for the golden opportunity to assist you in making the school the best it can be. There is a multitude of people that I would like to thank for helping me grow and expand, but because of limited time, there are a few particulars that I would like to thank, and they are Dr. Reyes, Ms. Olmeda, Ms. Burdett, Ms. Long, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Centeno, Ms. Villanueva, Dr. Adams, friends and colleagues. You have all been enormous motivators, role models, and leaders to me. I can never thank you enough. Last but not least, I thank my God for being my guiding light. Thank to all for the trust. I will not disappoint you. Gracias.
I'm a stickler for keeping track of what the agenda says, but if you would allow me a moment of privilege to just go to a very special comment from someone, Ms. Jacqueline Centeno.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jacqueline Centeno, I'm the AP at Dewar Elementary, and I have a really special message for you that I got a call this afternoon asking me to do it. It's in Spanish, so pardon me because it's in Spanish, and I hope not to choke and cry in the middle of the message. So this message is from your mamita. Okay, bueno. Querida hija mía, no sabes ni imaginas cuánto le agradezco a Dios el poderte ver alcanzar tus metas. Es una bendición ver que Dios abre puertas en tu carrera profesional. Le pido a Él que te use y cumpla sus propósitos en ti y a través de ti. Estoy orgullosa que seas mi hija y sé que tu papá celebre en el cielo este logro, hija. Con amor, mamita.
Thank you, Board. Dr. Pace?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I could invite Dr. Renee Clayton to the podium, please. Board members, I'm honored tonight to recommend Dr. Renee Clayton to return home to the district here to be our Assistant Superintendent for Educational Choices and Innovation. She's been a teacher and the reading specialist at Mill Creek and Cypress Elementary, assistant principal at Pleasant Hill Elementary, principal at Pleasant Hill Elementary, principal at Celebration K-8, principal on assignment for the Office of School Improvement and District Leadership Development Team for the school district, and the director of middle and K-8 schools for the Osceola School District, and then began his service as the assistant superintendent for elementary and Volusia County Schools. She's received her bachelor's degree and master's degree in education from the University of Florida, an education specialist in educational leadership from National Louis University, and a doctorate degree in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida. And I'm confident Dr. Clayton will bring her same passion and amazing work ethic to this new role.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Bass, a second by Mr. Arguello. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Congratulations.
If I could take just a minute for a few words, Dr. Pace, fellow cabinet members, Chairwoman Castillo, and board members, from the bottom of my heart. I wasn't going to do that. Thank you. I'm humbled and honored to stand before you. You guys know I don't cry. Sorry. Okay, I'm overwhelmed with emotion. Okay, I'm filled with emotions of gratitude, excitement, and reassurance to serve the students and community. I do have a few things I'd love to say. Just give me a breath. It's been a long road, and it's been a tough few years for everybody. And that's my appreciation that I show to you today. Teachers are so important to us, and the work that's done in this room is so important. There are so many who have contributed to shaping this next step, and I promise I am ready for this position. I have to begin with my family, including my parents and my in-laws, for unconditional support, encouragement, and understanding, because this is a family affair. You cannot do this without the support of your family. My family was raised here, my children. My husband still works here. He is an SRO at PATHS, and my daughters, Madison and Kennedy, who were raised here, have been shaped by Osceola schools. In the choice programs, I might add. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. Madison was a 2014 graduate from the Teaching Academy at St. Cloud High School, and is now going into her 4th year as a vibrant teacher. To this day, she relies on so many strategies she learned from Ms. Peeler and the hands-on experiences in the VPK in elementary classrooms. Kennedy was in the 2016 graduate from the Nursing Academy at St. Cloud High School. And likewise, through her experiences, she knew she wanted to work with babies and is now a thriving level 3 NICU nurse at Winnie Palmer for children and babies. For women and babies. I know firsthand the value of these educational choice programs and the value to our community. Professionally, there are so many to thank. I can't even begin to thank them all. Specifically, I would like to thank you, Dr. Pace, of course, Dr. Fritz, Dr. Michael Allen. They've been true leaders of leaders in every sense of the word. There are so many other principals and colleagues that have been part of this journey, from both Osceola and my new friends in Volusia. You all know who you are, all of you. While I've become accustomed to taking long drives on the beach, I take comfort in knowing I'm coming back to the house that built me. I have learned a lot in every step of my journey, and with every step there is a lesson and a reason. And knowing what I know now, I truly believe I need to take the step away to come back with new knowledge and wisdom for this next chapter. I recognize this is a big task ahead, and I definitely stand ready. I pledge to you my commitment to serve this district with all of my heart and dedication. I'm a learner, and I'm ready to learn and serve for our students and our community as the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Choices and Innovation. Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Dr. Pace, board members, now is the time that I would go ahead and take note of your agenda modifications. I will go ahead and start with Mr. Arguello.
Yes, I'm removing 7.06, 8.01, 8.02.
Can you do that a little bit slower, please? Because we have to take note of it. You said 7.06. What else?
7.06,
Okay.
8.01,
Okay.
8.02,
Okay.
9.16. From consent. And I have some other items that are not on consent, as long as we don't pull the trigger and vote on the removal in sections 12, 13, and 16.
1 second. Mr. Kroppenbacher, 9.16 is confidential. Do we need, are you
I won't violate the confidentiality.
Okay. What are your items to be removed in regular agenda, please?
12.04.
12.04 is an informational item. Do you have questions?
Yeah, I just have comments on that.
Okay.
13.01.
Okay.
16.02.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez?
Yes. Mr. Arroyo mentioned a couple there. I'm on the phone and I can't track it. Did he say 9.09?
No.
Okay, 9.09 from the consent agenda is the only item.
Thank you. Mr. Bass?
I had a lot of questions, but I have them all answered, so it's good.
Thank you. I would like to add to new business virtual instructional materials for discussion. Or I would rather digital virtual material. Dr. Pace?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the modifications submitted.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Arguello. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So that means we're moving to item 7.06. Mr. Arguello.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this has been a deeply discussed agenda item in the past. I did note that in their contract, they had a very good disclosure, which I think it should be part of every contract that we do from now on, which basically acknowledged current statute. They obviously made it very clear that they understand the intent of the new Florida statute and that they would fall within those guidelines. So I did appreciate that. However, I just wanted to make the note for Frank, essentially, that having researched this company very deeply, okay, I find it hard to believe, and I'm not disputing that they're being dishonest. I'm just saying that if they fail, right, to comply with state statute, it certainly would have been completely intentional. There's no accidents here, because they're very explicit in terms of their information that they provide the public, that they don't believe, right, or that their beliefs are contrary to our state statute. So so here's the thing, it's just, one, we know if they don't comply, it's intentional, right? And it is my intention to make sure that they don't comply with this. I wish that they do comply, right? That they don't, okay, yes, that they do comply, I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't me that had to actually ensure that they would not comply with this, because they've already been in trouble before. But here's the thing, why not find, I'm very suspicious, because why not find a company that's mission is more in tune with Florida state statute, as opposed to one whose mission is contrary to state statute, and then force them to make adjustments to their product so that they can be in compliance with state statute. So, me being very suspicious, right? There's got to be financial reasons. I think that it's a gigantic leap in funding. It's a whole bunch of money, right? And I very highly doubt this information. The teacher retention data at our 19 most high-need schools was 89%, 88%, 90%, 70% going back to 2019. When we have 500 vacancies, which are rising, how can we have 89% retention? It doesn't make any sense, you know? So I just don't think that there's a lot of credibility here. I'm not a big fan. I'm hoping that all this curriculum and all these materials are made public. And for the public, I would recommend that you go to New Teacher Center and look at what the product is, because certainly it does not coincide, or their mission does not coincide with our current state statute. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Board, I will entertain a motion to approve the contract.
I move to approve 706.
Have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Mr. Arguello.
No. Second by Mr.
I'm sorry, Mr. Melendez, I apologize. I have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Melendez. Board, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Passes 3-1. Thank you. We'll move on to 801. Mr. Arguello, is that you?
Yes, it is. So my question here on Beagle. I'm going to withdraw my question here. I'll just motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr.
Answer.
Arguello,
Second.
second by Mr. Bass. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. 802.
Okay, so 802, Madam Chair, I'm just questioning here the increase from $80,000 to $180,000. It just seems like a very random $100,000 increase in this contract value, which appears to do the same work that New Teacher Center does. So along with New Teacher Center and this contract, why isn't this 180 plus almost, $700,000 in the other contract? Why aren't we paying our own teachers to mentor our new teachers as opposed to using a contractor?
Okay. I know that the contract does state what the
I'm asking the
increase is.
superintendent.
Okay, I was drawing your attention to where the answer was. Madam Superintendent?
The services provided in this McGraw-Hill is a phonics program, Open Court, which we piloted this past year and had great success with, particularly in our primary grades. It is something that enriches the curriculum and gets them off to foundational reading skills, which we found in particular were missing. In terms of the mentoring program, it's set up so that the literacy coaches get the training first and then support the literacy teachers in implementing it, along with 2 trainers from McGraw-Hill who are on site working side by side with those teachers.
So,
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I don't have a light. May I ask a question?
Let me wait until Mr. Arguello finishes his line of thought, and then I'll call on you. Thank you.
Right,
Mr.
thank you.
Arguello?
yeah, with this contract though, this is what we've been using already, right? This is an extension of contracts which we've already been using, right?
It's an expansion of the work that we were doing. We did a pilot first to assess how it was working.
That our scores have decreased during the 10-year that that this contract has been in place, hasn't it?
This is our first year with Open Court in implementation, I believe, in depth. Dr. Reyes, would you help?
Certainly, with the amount of schools. And we actually had REA pull data, and the students that were in both those years, this being our second, the majority of our school, with exception of literally a couple or a few, all met growth for second grade, which means that they're going into third grade ready to learn. That was startling, the just vast amount of schools, so we saw great success with it. To answer your question also, this also builds on our leadership. So for elementary schools at the district level, we assign them to schools according to need as far as how many sessions we have with teachers. Our principals walk and learn along with this consultant, as do the school coaches, as do we. So directors, myself, we take turns with schools. It's really to build the leadership in the coaches and the administrators so that when they walk away, we know this inside and out and we can support this program. So it's doing 2 things. It's building the leadership and understanding of principals as well as coaches, and absolutely supporting the teachers with the experts hands-on.
Okay, great. So just to make clear, wherever this program was piloted, the students outperformed the students which were not part of this program, right? Okay.
And
I'd love to see that actual data, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And my other question then is, if this information, because it seems like we pay teachers, right, X amount of dollars, some of them are mentored, they go through PD, all of that makes sense, right? You do it in the private world in different ways, they don't have the same names and stuff, but. So when we do PD, right, isn't there like years of service that make somebody an expert? For example, if you're an education attorney, right, and you have 20 years of experience doing education, legal work, then you're going to be a better educational attorney than somebody who just graduated from law school, right? But we continue paying as, it doesn't matter, right? Because we're not necessarily, are we training the people who have all that experience, and then are they getting paid more for the expertise that they're gaining in this program?
I cannot speak to pay, but I can share with you, we've had high turnover in education nationwide, and that includes here in Osceola. So that means we have a lot more new teachers and we have a lot more new coaches. So we have quite a bit to break ground. And it really is understanding that all kids need our best now and fighting that learning curve with our adults. So we are really investing in adults because we know that the people at the school are making day in, day out progress with kids. So that's really providing them support and taking away barriers is the way that I see my position in this. When I asked Dr. Pace to consider a contract such as that, I'm personally involved in even the execution of the school.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Melendez?
Yeah, the only question I had was, is the overall intent of this program to be like a train-the-trainer, so to speak, where a contractor teaches our district personnel how to do it? And then is the end goal is to wean off of that contract and have the new people that have that expertise to be able to take over this program?
Yes, Mr. Melendez, it is about building internal capacity, but there are also specific curriculum materials about that foundational phonics piece that are a big piece of this curriculum program.
Thank you, ladies. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Melendez, second by Mr. Bass. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. We'll move over to 9.9. I'm sorry?
9.09, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Melendez.
sorry, oh, 9, I'm fine.
Yeah. Thank you. 9.09, Mr. Melendez, you had a question or a comment?
Yes, there was a concern where we discussed this at a workshop about what we were looking for when we do an RFP for real estate services. And as a matter of fact, the Osceola County just put out a bid on one of their properties on 400 West Emmett Street. And so they did the same scenario that I was trying to say earlier, was they didn't procure the services of a broker. They went out there and did a hard bid and trying to get, folks to get in there. So I'm a little bit confused as to why this is even on the board agenda. This was something that was supposed to be where staff was going to come back to us and let them know, the recommendations were based on some of the concerns I had. And so I feel like this is kind of jumping the gun. And so I'm opposed to that because we did have a workshop discussing what is the purpose of a RFP, what are the terms and conditions that we're going to do on it. And so if it's something that the superintendent really wants, then I say we table this till we get those answers first that were brought up.
Mr. Melendez, the team has been working on an RFP, taking into account the board's feedback at that particular workshop. But there have been multiple RFPs ongoing because of our work in the facilities department and expansion. So this is a request for a 6-month extension so that we can bring that RFP back to the board, get your approval, and then put it out on the streets.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything pending. That's the concern. If there's anything pending, I don't think there is anything pending because we have a contract already to sell the property at Lakeview, and we have a contract to sell the other one on Pine on Pine Tree Road in St. Cloud. So I don't see really this is needed.
Madam Chair, may I ask our facilities team, Mr. Marchena, to rise to that and tell us exactly what is still pending and why we are requesting consideration for this?
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. Mr. Melendez, I'm the one assisting the staff in connection with this RFP. There's actually one contract that is still pending, and there is one contract being negotiated with two potential buyers, Pine Tree, where they just received best and final. So there is work still being done. This extension, from what I understand, is up to 6 months, meaning as soon as we get the RFP finalized, come back to you, get it approved, we'll get it done. And if it gets done sooner than that, then the new terms would go into effect sooner than the 6 months. But administratively, the 6 months are being requested just so that we don't have to keep coming back to the board to be able to get this done.
Well, I can see that we're in there. Can we see the bids that were submitted for the Pine Tree offer? Because again, I know somebody that was talking about possibly submitting a bid and didn't get any response back. So, and I remember at the time of the workshop, they had mentioned that that is public information every time somebody submits a bid. So, can somebody, give us all the bids that were submitted to date?
Absolutely. I've actually reviewed the bids that were sent to me by the broker to make sure that the request for the best and final was being done properly. So I'm sure there's absolutely no issue with sending you the bids. There were 5 or 6 significant bids on this particular property. So we'll make sure that they are sent to you.
Correct. And the other thing I want to see too, it's a copy of the publicized notice that mentioned when bids were closed. So, because if they're handling the RFP process for us, I want to make sure that everybody's on the same playing field. So if they had said, hey, we want the highest and best by a certain date, I want to see that publication where it was noticed, and so that way everybody knows that it was expiring at a certain period of time.
Well, the highest and best would only have been sent to the parties that responded to the initial request, right? So it would not be publicized again. It would only be sent to those parties who responded initially.
Did staff handle sending out the bid?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
With the brokers.
Through the broker.
See, and that's an issue. Like if the broker never received an offer of somebody that wanted to make an offer or solicit, I don't know, that's an issue that I see. So, I mean, it's up to the rest of the board how they feel, but I just feel that this isn't the most transparent way of doing business, and I'll be opposed again to extending this. So, but it's up to the rest of the board and majority rules, and so how they feel they want to move forward, that's up to them. But the county has already shown that they can do an RFP to sell property and make it in a public bid, and it's noticed to everyone when those bids are over.
Well, I would urge you not to, since you have items pending that this broker is working on, I would caution you against just letting this contract expire, because if you table this, the contract expires, I believe, at the end of this month. You don't want to basically have those items up in the air. Whatever you decide to do, you want an appropriate transition to take place.
Mr. Melendez, could I suggest that, Mr. Marchena, a way of resolving this concern is we continue it only for those items that are currently being handled by the broker. And there's no other items to be assigned, and we get the RFP done and brought back to the board and get this done. And that would let us transition in any way you want, but we don't interrupt whatever's going on.
It sounds like his concern, though, is that there's something that is active right now. All right, that's his concern. Isn't something that may happen in the future. It's one of those contracts that is issues. Me personally, I am not opposed to continuing. It's just you don't leave something messy right at the end. So you can easily transition just by extending for those specific contracts which are already on the table, which are being worked on. That's reasonable. But I still think that he needs his concern addressed with the one contract that he's referring to.
Are you talking about the ones that the best and final were requested? You just want to see those, you want to see those items, Mr. Melendez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's two concerns, and I'm willing to be agreeable to what the attorney just mentioned. That is, close those ones that are there. But there is a current contract where somebody had mentioned that they tried to contact the broker and never got a response. So,
Yeah, Mr.
that is a
Melendez,
concern.
if you could email me that person, I will call them, I will investigate it, find out every fact that I can get, and then I will get back to you right away. And if
Correct.
there's any issue, we will simply reopen the process
Okay.
and clean it up.
I'll agree to that, and then if we close that proper process appropriately, I do agree with continuing the contract for 6 months to allow them to finish executing the current contracts that are on the table, but for them not to be able to submit or enter into new contracts would bind us and like prevent this from happening again and again in the future. So I am willing to compromise on that, extending the contract for another 6 months to finish the current contract they have, investigating the current contract with Pine Tree, and moving forward from there.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, we have the capability of moving forward with that understanding.
No, the motion to
If
approve.
that's a motion, oh, okay.
I have a motion by
Yes.
Mr. Arguello, second by Mr. Bass. Board, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, team. Mr. Arguello, you pulled item 9.16. Board members, I'd remind you that you are probably not logged into your personal board doc, so if you want to see the documents amended or appended to this, you will have to log into board docs to see them.
Okay, Frank, there's obviously there's a big span here between the demand and the recommendation. So is the recommendation amount the amount here that we're approving?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the recommendation amount?
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Arguello, second by Mr. Bass. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Arguello, I don't think I heard your
Aye.
motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, the next item that we are going to speak on is item 12.04, which is the internal audit for human resources. Mr. Arguello, you pulled that one.
Yes, so I have not finished reading this document. However, there are several things that have come to my attention in the last week or so where they obviously would impact a document like this, judging from what it says. So once I read this document, I'm going to come back obviously to this document at the next meeting. But for one, from what I understand, something that does not comply with our policies is the fact that we have employees which have quit that continue to have technology or exceptions where they have access, right? That's one thing. And two, I have a lot of people that are concerned with some of the hiring practices that we have, which I think exemplify why I requested this in the first place. One is accusations of retribution according to somebody in the facilities department, which to me makes perfect sense. So I asked for an investigation. The district assumed that someone was the source of the information that led to that investigation. That person was fired after having all positive evaluations.
That person was fired, or if it was non-renewed, was not fired. That person was non-renewed because the investigation done and the expert hired showed that there was a RFP that was tailored to the company the person previously worked for.
But before that person had ever come to the district, the same company was receiving the same jobs. So it can't be put on the person who was here. Let's say that person was here for 3 years, but that person has been receiving contracts for 20 years. Obviously, it couldn't be that person's fault. Clearly, it was assumed that this person was the source of information that led to an investigation, that person was fired. That person also had received an executed contract, and then the contract was rescinded and he was not renewed again. So I don't know the details, but I do intend on finding out. That's exactly why, if we want to know why we're losing our teacher. If I were a teacher in this district, I would not be a teacher in this district very long for that exact reason. The fact is that whenever you have a problem, if you were to come and you're found out to have said something negative, then you're going to get canned. That's
John, I can't sit here as the lawyer and let you say that, because that's not the facts.
Okay,
The
so we're
facts
going to
are-
discover the facts here. We're going to
facts
discover,
are
hold on, this is not a
that
debate,
we
Frank.
have- No,
This is
but
my-
you're spearing
but you can
the
speak-
reputation of the
But you can
city.
speak after I make my comments.
Mr. Koppenbacher has
Don't
something
yell.
to say.
I was speaking.
I am
You
not
can't interrupt me.
yelling. I am not yelling.
You're yelling.
I am
And so
not
once I'm
yelling.
done with my remarks,
Mr.
then
Koppenbacher
Mr.
was saying
Koppenbacher
something.
then
You
answers
can
to
go ahead
remarks.
and answer.
That's-
Mr. Koppenbacher, you
Okay,
can
I
go
don't
ahead and
think
answer.
that you understand. I was speaking.
I'll
Mr.
defer to Board
Kropp-
Member Argoyev.
Thank you. So feel free to prevent anyone from interrupting me, okay? Thank you, Madam Chair.
No one will interrupt you, trust me.
So, here's the thing. There are multiple instances of people bringing this, let's say, bringing the accusation, making the allegation. It's our job to investigate these allegations. I'm not smearing the reputation of the district. Just like an attorney generates his reputation from his years of practice of law, the district makes its reputation based on how its practices are. And the fact is, it has the reputation of executing acts of retribution and retaliation. If that weren't the case, I wouldn't know about it. So the fact that people come to me with the allegation, I'm going to say it, and then it's your job to sort it out. It's not my job to ignore it and pretend like it doesn't exist and gaslight the community when they're saying that this happened. I don't know. And I haven't spoken to this particular employee, but I had many people who are familiar with the situation come to me and express a concern on a constant basis. This is not one person, this is not one situation. There are people on a constant basis, from teachers, from people, employees of the district in various capacities, who are not only concerned with being retaliated against, but who have very credible allegations of this type of retribution and retaliation. So, I would like to know, I intend on finding out the details of that case, the details of that situation. So hopefully, somebody doesn't begin a investigation into me because I'm asking about it, when all I'm doing is making the statement out in public that it needs to be investigated.
First of all, let me say this. You went to law school. You identify the facts before you make opinions. And you sat here and said, it started out with, this person was retaliated against. And that is not, you don't even know the facts and you made the statement. All I'm saying is, before you throw out language that says we're retaliating, sit down and identify the facts with the superintendent and then have the discussion with the board if you want. But when you say all these unknown people are saying things to you, well, guess what? They are unknown people that we have no capability of replying to, but you throw it out there like it's true, and then those people who want to believe it, and we can't respond to it. All right? It's an unknown attack. And all I'm saying, in fairness to everybody, if somebody believes they're being retaliated against, give us a name, we'll have an investigation, we can have an outside, and we can do it any which way. But when you sit here, and I know who you're speaking about, and you saw the report, the expert in Tampa said this thing was written in a way to tailor the contract where only the one entity that he worked for could get the work. And in terms of protecting the integrity of the system, Dr. Pace made a decision to non-renew the employee. That's her prerogative as superintendent. But give us facts that show, give us some substantial fact that says a retaliation. I don't see it. If I did, I'd be the first to say we got a problem.
Mr. Arguello?
Yes, so I'm going to ask the question then. Did he have an executed employment contract prior to it being rescinded?
I don't know if he had an executed contract or not. I
Okay.
know he was recommended for renewal and was pulled. You don't get a renewal till the board acts on it. He
Okay.
was pulled from being recommended for renewal based upon the information that was provided by the outside investigator to the superintendent.
Well, again, this is a human resources thing that talks about our practices. So you're allowed to retire, unretire, announce retirement, pull it back, and then stay forever. But you're not allowed to expect to have a potentially an executed contract and then that be rescinded at some point, right? So, I mean, that's inconsistencies in hiring in human resources, which creates a problem. Second of all, this is not personal, okay? This is my job is to come here and say it. I would go to the superintendent. The last time the superintendent and I met in public, she made a threat to me that she was going to take me public. Well, now I only speak in public. So the fact is, I'm going to come here. I'm going to say the things that I have to say here. I've said it to everyone here already. When I say something, if I have a concern, I'm going to say it here in the public for the community here. I go home and then I'm not going to worry about it anymore. It's been said in public. Okay? So I'm not going to go look for some secret meeting behind some door. I'm going to say it here. And then Dr. Pace is familiar with the situation. She can say this person did or did not have an executed contract. You can say this person did or did not have an executed contract. You guys are familiar with the person, obviously. The allegation has been made. We're a $2 billion entity that doesn't expect that someone who may have had an executed contract may have questions of retaliation when they had the source. They were the source. This person, first of all, this is not the source of the information that I received. But it was assumed that he was the source of information that I received, which led to an investigation. Now he's not renewed. Okay? Those are facts.
Those are not facts.
Those are facts.
We know
Those are
who
facts.
was the source. He was not the source.
Okay then.
And the source is still here.
Okay then. So
once again, you're
Okay.
making a statement that's not based on fact. And I have no objection to your coming saying, Madam Superintendent, I have a complaint that this employee would do. But in fairness to the staff and to this organization, don't malign it. Say, here is what I've got a complaint. Could I have a report back?
I said that the allegations were made.
No,
So-
you started out saying an employee was retaliated against, and he wasn't.
Well, I expect for us to find out that that isn't the case. And I can appreciate the fact that your job is to defend the board and defend the superintendent. It's actually not. Your job is
to
to
defend
the
this
board.
board.
Right. So here's the thing, okay. The fact is that there's employees out there, and I think there's a sentiment out there that our employees know if they're not part of the cool group, they don't get treated the same way. That's the problem. The fact that exists out there is a fact. That exists out there. So this is on top of that. And this is not the first person. So that's all I have on that.
Thank you. We have the next item is item 13.01.
13.01, I just have a question regarding the $10,000 in legal fees. So does the district pay legal fees on this contract? Or do they have,
Do you want me to respond to that? So the district pays nothing. If there are legal fees that are incurred by the foundation on behalf of Bella Lago Charter School, then the charter school pays for those fees.
so what I'm saying is that these $10,000, they're set aside. Why would it matter if we're not paying anything?
We are not paying, this is strictly talking about money that will come out of Bella Lago Charter School.
The $10,000, so that's like a line item in their budget, $10,000 for legal fees?
Correct.
Okay,
That's only paid if legal fees are incurred.
and was my only question on that.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 13.01.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Bass.
Second.
A second by Mr. Melendez. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. We'll move over to item 14.01. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. 1401? Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Bass,
Second.
second by Mr. Melendez. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. 15.01.
Move to approve 1501.
Motion by Mr. Bass. Do I have a second for 15.01? Okay, I will second it. So motion by me, or motion by Bass, second by Castillo. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Melendez, I did not hear your motion.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. I'll go ahead and move to 16.01 before I move to 16.02. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bass,
Second.
second by Mr. Melendez. Board, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And we pulled item 16.02 for discussion.
Yeah, Madam Chair, so my comment is not, so this seems like a very low price for, already for this piece of property, it seems to me, and also a per acre price on the improvement. So right now, they're paying $168,000 an acre, which at the time that this contract began was probably right on the money. But now they're paying $360,000 for practically 20 new lots. I'm not so sure that that we're getting the most that we can. But also, I still want to state my opposition to the sale of this land for this purpose. No offense to Starlight Homes. I'm sure that they're a wonderful company with wonderful products. It has nothing to do with that. But I'm still opposed to this use.
Thank you. Do we have anybody who can speak to the question or comment that Mr. Arguello has?
Thank you, Mr. Marchand.
Good evening again, Madam Chairman, board members. Mr. Arguello, I've been assisting staff with this particular contract. And as you know, the contract started at $4.2 million after competition. The city of St. Cloud has made a number of requirements with respect to roadway improvements along Robinson, and they will also need to connect from Columbia to their site. So part of the negotiation was to allow them to pursue additional lots for an increase in the price. I will tell you that while the market is still strong, there's clearly a turn in the market on land that is not going to be developed for a year or two, because the demand that has been there up to now is not as strong as it has been. In cooperation with the staff, the broker, we went through a pretty significant, tough negotiation with the buyer. We think this is a very good, still a good transaction for the school board. They are going to pay for a portion of the improvements that have to be made to the school site in order to accommodate the widening and the improvements to Robinson, as is required, that's being required by the city of St. Cloud. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If you say your opinion is this is not as much as you could get from the property, I can tell you that we've negotiated this one pretty hard. Obviously, I can't change your opinion.
Yeah. When a three-bedroom house is renting for $2,700 in a place where people aren't even making with the new $15 an hour minimum wages, obviously there's a tremendous amount of land and demand, or of demand for land. I mean, I think that it would. I just think that the increase doesn't even approach the already one-year-old I guess, agreement to the value of the land, which I'm fine, yeah, we can agree to disagree on that, that's fine.
I will, if I may interrupt you, forgive me. They are paying, they're probably going to be spending another $400,000 to $500,000 in the improvements that they need to make in order to accommodate what needs to happen to the school site.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not somebody who typically has a soft heart for developers. I think that they can afford it because it only took like 30 seconds to sell this piece of land as soon as they opened it for that purpose. So I think that if somebody will come again. They tried to sell it as commercial property, and that didn't work out so well for whatever reasons. But when you start developing homes, especially homes of this nature, 175 lots, $500,000 is nothing. So I mean, I think that we could be getting more. But again, I'm no expert on real estate. And further, I'm just opposed to the use in general. Thank you.
On the Robinson improvement, are they taking that, on the Robinson Avenue improvement, are they taking that to 10th? Are they improving the 10th or just in front of the entry?
They're going from, so they are putting in a new road that's going to go from this property east and west to Columbia.
Okay.
And Robinson is going to have to go up to meet that roadway.
But you said they were going to do improvements to Robinson.
Widen it as well, yes, sir.
That Robinson's been terrible.
It's in bad shape.
And I will echo you, there is definitely a shift. I mean, it's not a huge shift right now, but it's definitely a shift in the real estate market right now.
How you doing? From what I understand, it's just the 5th Street north along our property. I'm not sure if they're going to make them do anything further.
I didn't know it got
Yeah.
far down there.
Anyone else have any additional questions? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve 16.02.
I move to approve 16.02.
I have a motion by Mr. Bass. I will second. Second by Mr. Melendez. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-1. Thank you. Then we'll move on to our public comments. Tanya? Thank you. All right, team, so I will, we'll go ahead and get started with these public comments. Please keep in mind that we have 3 minutes allotted per person, and I would ask you to please stay within those 3 minutes. If I stop you, it is not because I'm being rude. I simply want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. Please refrain from speaking about or to any particular board member, and I would ask that you remain civil and kind while you're giving your public comments. I will go ahead and start with Mr. Mark Gotts.
My name is Mark Gotts, and I'm the founder and business manager for American Classical Charter Academy, located at 2395 Hickory Tree Road in St. Cloud, Florida. Our third grade FSA reading scores were in the top 5 in Osceola County, with 62% of our third grade students reading proficiently. That was 40% higher than the school district's average of 45%. That average is of all schools in the county, including the charter schools. If you take out the charter schools, the district's level is probably in the mid-30s. Why would you want to close a school that is educating students at a level almost twice the proficiency of the district? Mention was made at the last meeting that ACCA has requested funding from the district to meet our emergency condition. The Osceola School District receives almost $10,000 per student. American Classical Charter Academy, ACCA, received around $7,000 per student. We averaged over 350 students for the year. The $3,000 difference in revenue netted the school district over $1 million from ACCA for doing nothing. In addition to this windfall, the district gets an administrative fee of 5% of the FEFP of the school. There are over 14,000 students in charter schools in this county. 3,000 times 14,000 is over $42 million this district made off of charter schools for doing nothing. Now you get a request for help and you turn your back. Florida Statute 218.501, financial matters pertaining to political subdivisions. The purpose of this statute is to assist local charter schools in providing essential services without interruption and in meeting their financial obligations. Florida Statute 218.503, determination of financial emergency, failure within the same fiscal year in which is due to pay short-term loans or failure to make bond debt service or other long-term debt payments when due as a result of lack of funds. A charter school shall notify the charter school sponsor when one or more of the conditions specified in subsection 1 have occurred or will occur if action is not taken by it. 218.503, Unit 6, the failure of members of the governing body of a local government entity or failure of the members of the district school board to resolve the state of financial emergency constitutes malfeasance, misfeasance, and neglect of duty for purposes of Article 4 of the state constitution. We need your help. Follow the law. To be continued.
Thank you, Mr. Goff. Ms. Tammy Fitzgibbon?
My name's Tammy Fitzgibbon. I live in Kissimmee, Florida. I just wanted to bring a concern from last school year when my daughter had her IEP meeting and she needed, special services. They were from when she was in school from the last time we had her in public school till now. And the speech therapist there that was interviewing her and trying to test her couldn't even speak English. Now, my question is who hires these people or these educators? And how is she going to get speech therapy when the person trying to teach her don't even speak English? So she took all the tests that they required to see if she needed it or not. And of course, she didn't do well. And after talking with her, she's like, I couldn't understand her. So how can I pass a test that I don't understand? Well, good question, but I told her, I said, you should have come to me a little bit sooner than my last IEP meeting to figure that out for this coming year. So that concerns me with all these new teachers coming from this other country for this coming school year. Who's doing the hiring? When we had this meeting, my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, did you understand any of that? And I said, no. And my concern is for the kids because Shelby don't need it for the speech. Hers is more for the memory. And my concern is for the other kids that need speech therapy to speak. If they can't understand her, how are they going to get speech therapy from somebody that they can't understand themselves? So I just wanted to bring a concern up to see they need to do some better hiring or get some more therapists in there that speak English, because I really feel sorry for the kids. You're really letting them down.
Mr. Michael Rodriguez?
Good evening, board. Hi, my name is Michael. I was here a few weeks ago.
Michael, I apologize. I just want to make
Okay.
sure the timer. Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Michael. I live in Kissimmee. I was here a few weeks ago. I spoke about ethics. This week I want to speak about legacies. According to Oxford Dictionary, legacy is a noun, and the definition is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. I thought that was an inheritance, but they're partially synonymous. But then once you continue through, you can research yourself through Google or anything. Who has the greatest legacy? We're not talking about money. In this era, leaders who left the biggest legacies: Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Marie Curie. What is the legacy of a person? It's the richness of the individual's life, including what the person accomplished and the impact he or she had on the people and places. What is a good legacy quote? The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or other material things accumulated in one's life, but rather a legacy of character and faith. No matter what happens in life, be good to people. Being good to people is a wonderful legacy to leave behind. What would be your legacy? Things such as career, wealth, school, and so. Things that you've done for yourself. Your legacy is an entirely different thing. Your legacy are the things you're doing for others, plus some things you do for yourself with positive effects on others as well. It's not all about you. Are you leaving a legacy? Leaving a legacy means giving something that will be valued and treasured by those who survive after your death. It requires thought to ensure that any items that have any meaning to you will also have meaning to those who you designated to inherit them, which are our children, board, okay? How do you explain legacy? How do you explain legacy to a child? For children, legacy means learning from the past. It separates the timeless from the transient. Children have a feeling of security and continuity that comes from knowing that there are adults who care about them, not all the money and millions of dollars that you're spending on who knows what, because I want a little transparency on these boards. I want to see numbers. Okay, what is your legacy as a leader? Character, choices, conduct, consistency, confidence, and compassion. Leaving something of enduring quality behind for the organization and its people, a byproduct of the historical decisions one makes driven by his or her personal values. And it reflects how you used those gifts and abilities to make a difference in the lives of others. I urge you, board, one more. What shapes a person's legacy? The good work that a person does throughout life can establish the legacy of kindness, generosity, and social responsibility from helping others who are less fortunate or in a...
Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for being respectful of the 3-minute timeline. I appreciate it.
Okay, you all can go on for 5-10 minutes.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Ms. Joanne Colonna?
Good evening, Joanne Colonna, 4701 Ashton Drive, St. Cloud, Florida. Madam Chairperson, Board, I know you're just excited to see me here as I am excited to see you. And I know that you really want to know what happened with my granddaughter. Well, if you recall, Dr. Pace had given me a card, said, here, call me, and I did that. And what were the end results? My granddaughter is now going to be a senior with no credit for the nursing class that you people failed to provide her a teacher for. And I don't think that's quite your job, not to assist children and have teachers here. When you start a class, you should have teachers here to teach the class and not disappoint children that spent a whole semester going to a class with no teacher or having substitutes and sitting in a lunchroom. That's number one. And you know what? I am tired of being here, and I'm sure you're tired of seeing me here. So for next year, let's all take a deep breath, have a nice summer, and do your job. Because we don't want to be here. I have other things that I want to do at my age, but I'm retired. I don't need to come here to confront you to tell your job. And I don't need to sit in the audience and watch all of you make faces of your residents here while they're speaking. We're here because we're concerned. If you're not concerned, don't sit there. Put somebody there that is concerned. And talking about concern, next year, do you have a program to protect our children? God forbid the schools are trashed with somebody that comes in with a gun. Do you have a program set up for that? Are you concurring? Don't make faces, Dr. Pace. I'm over your faces. Are you concurring?
Colonna, you know you're not supposed to address anybody on the board.
I'm sorry. Don't address me. Let me finish because you're taking my time. Do you have consultation with your St. Cloud PD, your Kissimmee PD, and the Sheriff's Department? Put the sheriffs in the schools, patrolling the schools. Maybe it will stop some of the harassment, some of the bullying in school, and maybe, God forbid, one day when somebody comes into the school to attack, you'll have somebody there waiting and be able to protect our children. That's all I have to say. Have a beautiful summer, and you've got a full plate for next season because we'll be back.
like to report on?
Yes, members of the board, just two quick items. One of them that's passed out in the preparing to do the work at OXA. The facilities department identified a problem that developed. Tupperware decided to close a road that the school was planning to use for ingress and egress involving buses. They have a right to do that. This would result in our having the buses have to come in and go out on 441, and then is particularly troublesome because the buses would have to go up and then make a U-turn on 441 and come back. We own a significant amount of land that is behind Tupperware and then wraps around to where on Osceola, to where Orlando Health is on Osceola.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a new road that we're in a tri-party agreement called Healthy Way, where the OXA bus roads will come off of it.
We own the conservation, we have the conservation easement, we own the land. In order to deal with SREF and the safety issues, and in working with South Florida Water Management District, South Florida is recommending, candidly, it is the only alternative we have available, that this board, I'm not asking for action tonight, I'll bring it back, you can think through it, actually authorize us to condemn our own property, which then frees it up for the road. We'd still be able to commit to all our environmental and conservation requirements. But we have to have that happen. And so read it, think about it, and I can talk to you before the next meeting on that issue. One other thing, and it came up earlier, we have put in a lot of contracts the requirement or standard language that they comply with the law, and we've identified specifically compliance with what I'll call the law on critical race theory and topics that were prohibited and should not be taught. Putting in the contract is one thing. I have concerns that the people who sign the contracts, nobody's ever going to tell the people that fly in here to do the training, you know what we agreed to. We're going to be fortunate if that happens. I can tell you just as a lawyer, there's always the contract and then there's the people that implement it, and frequently you do not have a connection there. So I'm going to bring back to you at the next meeting and recommend to you that Dr. Pace, I'm working on a form that would require each speaker who's coming in to train to sign the form, so there's no way that person who's doing any kind of instruction to our people can say, I didn't know, I didn't understand, etc. You signed a form that said very specifically you would not do the following, which is basically taking out of the Florida House bill and the discussions very specific things, such as you will not in any way convey that one race is superior to another race, that one race is systemically racist, that America is a weak country or a racist country. It's very common sense stuff, but it just adds a Band-Aid that we have done everything we can to try and prevent anybody from violating this. So you can debate it with me at the next meeting. I'll get it to you ahead of time, but it is, otherwise I can't tell you that we've done anything other than sign a contract, because I don't know who's flying in here to do the talking.
When will you propose to have this available? Our next meeting is
I'll have it to you on the next agenda for you to look at.
But you're going to have it to the board prior to that so that we can
Yes,
read
yeah,
it
it'll
and
be out a
have
week before to
meetings
you.
with you about
Yes.
our concerns, yes?
Yes.
Anything else, Mr. Kloppenbacher?
No.
Under unfinished business, I do not have anything. I do have one item under new business, so I will take this moment of privilege. Dr. Pace, I've been speaking, as you know, with some parents in some of the middle schools that are concerned with the amount of books that the students are carrying. And I know that we'd spoken about the professional development that's happening over the summer and how a lot of that, or some of that is going to include creation of items digitally? Is that something that we're moving forward with? Are we doing more digital learning?
Most of our curriculum documents now include a digital component.
Okay.
So that students don't have to carry home textbooks. As long as they have their laptop and keep it charged, they can access assignments and homework and those types of materials. So I think we probably need to look more deeply into specific parental concerns.
It's really just the amount of books that the kids are carrying. The fix would be to have more lockers available, but we don't have that, at least not at some of the schools that I've been speaking to parents.
We have not been providing lockers at our middle schools and K-8 schools, and most of the high schools don't use the lockers. We found that the kids don't use them other than for PE. But we also have a lot of our curriculum unit plans and materials moving into Canvas, which will be available to students, and then students are also still accessing a lot of work through Teams. So we'll continue to look with that, and I'll talk to the curriculum team and then get back with you.
Great. And as we ramp up for the new year, I know that we typically have some kind of video message on YouTube for parents on how to kind of manage the new year and some of the new things that are happening. The curriculum that's online, would that be something that's included? So parents can assist their students, how to access them and whatnot?
Dana and I are still working on the script, but certainly we can incorporate that.
Okay. And we'll talk offline about some other options for the not having lockers.
Okay.
Big concern for some parents.
Okay.
That's all I have. That's all I recorded during the beginning of the meeting. Is there anything that anybody has thought about before, regarding new business before we end? Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to actually put something on new business. So, one, let's start with something light. I have had parents that requested that we begin doing swimming lessons again. So that might be something that the superintendent may want to address. I don't know what the historical practice of offering swimming practices has been, but parents have reached out to me and said that they should probably begin that process again.
We certainly can have that discussion with the board as a part of our strategic plan.
Madam Chair, I got some closing remarks as well.
Is that just a board comment? Is that not there yet?
Yes, we got board comments. Yes, I'm sorry, I can't follow along. It doesn't show me where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, so the other thing is the teachers from Latin America contract. So, again, the community has been very forward on this topic since we approved that contract. I voted for that with the understanding that it was a continuation of the contract that we already had, where we had foreign teachers coming from the Philippines, for example, which I've met, and the ones that I've met have been very good. I didn't have any concerns when I met them, so I never raised the issue. But this is also an expansion of, I guess, of that current contract? Or what is it?
This is a second agency that also sponsors visas, same format as the agency that we've been working with now for 5 years. Just they have a different recruiting area than the previous company, but we're continuing to work with the other company. This is not to replace internal candidates or candidates that are available in the United States. This is just another pool of candidates to help us address the shortage of instructional staff that's countrywide.
Well, our teachers don't feel that way. Our teachers feel that they have many concerns about this. They do feel like they're being replaced. So I have several questions here. Are these teachers equally certified?
Yes, sir, they meet all the certification requirements for the state of Florida.
Do they require the reading endorsement certification that our teachers are required?
If they are going to be providing Tier 1 instruction, Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction to students, then they would have to have the same reading endorsement.
So I thought so it wasn't all of our teachers that required that? All of our teachers now are not required that reading endorsement?
We are conveying that to all of our elementary schools because of the number of students who require some type of reading instruction. And then at the middle and high school level, it is for our teachers who are teachers of reading or providing reading interventions.
So all of the teachers that are coming that will be in elementary school will have that reading endorsement certification?
If they need that reading endorsement, they'll have time to get it, just like our current teachers do.
So one of the things that I think many teachers found unfair was that they paid $150, many of them taking the exam multiple times. Apparently, it was extremely difficult, and they don't know if these teachers that are coming in are paying their own fees and so on. So it was just a fairness issue. Two, I've had a lot of questions about how much these teachers are actually paid.
These teachers are in the same salary that our current teaching staff works. They work on the same salary schedule. They don't get any special fees from the district, and the district does not provide their benefits package. So they aren't getting our health insurance benefits, our life insurance benefits, or our retirement benefits. Those instead are arranged by the agency in a separate package.
So it's possible, in effect, that they may be getting paid more than our teachers because they're not contributing to our healthcare plan. But,
No, sir, they're earning the same salary.
right, but our teachers have to pay for their insurance, right? They contribute to their insurance plan here
Only
with
if
us.
they wish to buy up into the second plan, or if they buy family coverage. Their own health insurance benefits are covered.
Right. Okay, I think that these teacher contracts should be, or that this, I guess you answered that question, actually. And how are these teachers going to be evaluated?
With the same tools that our current teachers are evaluated with. The agency provides interventions if we have challenges or issues with capacity, to give them an opportunity to improve. And if they aren't teaching to quality or meeting our standards, then their contract is non-renewed. They're on a probationary basis in the beginning, just like everybody else. They are interviewed by principals and recommended for hire by principals. They go through the same screening process. There's no target number that we're going to hire X number of teachers from any one particular agency. It's who's available, who seems to be a best fit for that school according to the hiring administrator.
So how many of these teachers were in the district at the end of the school year already from the previous agency?
I believe it was 30.
And how many do you expect with the new one?
I would probably say no more than that. It took us a while to build up to that. The first year, we had some turnover with this core teacher group, but now retention has been incredibly high. And they're limited into how long they can stay before their visas expire and they must return.
Okay, lastly, on that issue, on this contract issue, is that I've had other parents that actually had similar concerns regarding a speech therapist who was very difficult to understand in English. So how are we ensuring that the teachers that come can't just pass the test, but are also able to communicate in English as well?
That would be a part of the interview hiring practice of our administrators. And if any parent has a specific concern about work with a speech language therapist, we're happy to deal with that on an individual basis.
I think that in general, our own teachers are not happy about this for several reasons. For one, they think that it takes the pressure off of the district to negotiate with them in a more good faith manner. Secondly, I think that they feel like the people who are going to be replaced are going to be veteran teachers first. So, and there are, it appears to me, or at least it's again the perception of the teachers in our district, do believe that there are waiting lists, that there are people that are trying to teach that aren't getting called back. So I've had a variety of teachers come to me and say, listen, this person has been applying, this person has been applying. Somebody came earlier in the year and said that they had a law degree and a chemical engineering degree, and they weren't picked up either, even though we're 500 teachers down. So I think that there's definitely space for improvement in our attempts to bring teachers back and to bring teachers from here. So I hope that answers everyone else's questions that has reached out to me on that issue. And that's the only thing I have on new business, those two things.
Thank you. Mr. Melendez, I will move to you for your board comments, and then the rest of the team can chime in.
Yes, I just want to say that I'm in DC right now for our charter school conference. And so we do have some staff here as well. We're able to pick up on some of the national trends that are happening and things like that. And so the future is what it's going to be, and how do we address that and moving forward. The other issue that I have as well is I'm able to secure a meeting tomorrow with Congressman Soto on our school safety grant, because we have a COPS grant that's specifically with the Department of Justice. And I know Mr. Shatera was the leader on that, and had wrote a letter of support. And so we submitted the grant. Now it's a matter of, fighting for getting that to us. So tomorrow I'm trying to meet with our senators to be able to say, not only do we want the state of Florida to receive those monies to secure our schools, but we want specifically Osceola County. So I just want to let everyone know that that's kind of what I'm working on right now, and that's why I couldn't be there at the board meeting, because I'm currently in DC, trying to secure those funds for the district.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Board, any other comments
I do.
before we end? Sure, Mr. Arguello.
So I've received some messages from the community. Again, they asked me if I would read these. So this is a parent concern I think that we're all familiar with at this point. And I think that this is a very compelling story. I do know a lot of the facts in this situation. I have my own feelings about this circumstances, but I'm going to read her statement. My child, a senior in 2022 in OXA, went through the worst experience in her high school years there. This included grooming from LGBT students and plain abuse. The school kept telling us that there was nothing and brushing off our complaints. They handled the situation poorly and are still handling the situation poorly. I stood up in front of the board meeting asking for my daughter's school records. We were promised 3 different times that we will be given those, and 3 times we got documents that are incomplete. I am questioning, what does the school have to hide on my daughter's records that they can't provide? I saw multiple visits almost every 2 weeks to a school counselor, but notes are as vague as to say discussed personal matter. We requested the school to provide us parents a meeting with the new counselor, which they did not provide. However, when we claimed these records from the school called the SRO to handle the parent, and even tried to claim we were the problem, insinuating criminal charges against us for abuse as a method of intimidation and to hide what is allowed by administration, including sexual grooming to LGBT, to the kids in that particular school. What is the school hiding? I am requesting full disclosure of these records. Can the school board do this? Can the school board make this school provide the full records that were discussed in the counselor's office that troubled this kid so much? Keep in mind that my daughter was asked to parade around with an LGBTQ asexual flag at school because she is not being sexual, and a transgender girl who the school refers to as a name dyed my daughter's hair in a school bathroom, which was pushed by school peers to propose to a girl in recess as a joke because she didn't like girls, therefore humiliating my daughter, and the school did nothing. In conclusion, where are my daughter's complete records, and why do they keep providing just a few incomplete documents that lack information crucial to this case? Can you make the school counselor provide these? There is no such thing as privacy from parents when the kid is a minor. So, my concern about this, I am familiar with this case. I did get permission to speak about this parent's issues. This is the debate that's going on across the country right now. And this is not a good look for us. It's not a good look for us to try to usurp the rights of the parents by trying to hide what the child is going through in her school from the parents. It's not our job to get in between the parents and their child. It seems like, in many instances, we would be willing to do that. An piece of evidence of this is the fact that one of our high schools, I saw this gender-bred man graphic on one of our school walls. So is that something that our district proposes or approves of, is having this gender-bred man graphic? Everyone is probably familiar with it. So, I mean, you can Google it right now. It's the gender-bred man. You can Google it, see what it says. So when we talk about facts, and this was a discussion with community members and people who believe unlike I do, and so their concern was what my concern is with this stuff. Well, here's my concern. Number one, the information in the graphic is incorrect, right, in many respects. So the fact that we would allow it to be in our schools or to be used as a tool in our schools to educate our kids on sexuality or gender ideology is completely wrong. And if we are not approving it, then why is it that we have so much trouble gaining control over all the issues in our school district in which people are saying that that is happening? Either no one's listening, either the schools themselves or some staff members, or in some instances, they're in complete rebellion against what the school district is saying, or the school district basically has an ineffective or soft policy that is allowing things like this to happen. So I think the summer is a great time where the school board members go to their community, find out what the community's views on these things are, come back to the school district with a new vision and a plan to enshrine in our policy protection for parental rights, and to, for once and for all, name parental rights and parents' rights supreme in the discussion. I think failing to do that would be a mistake. Everyone may not agree with that, but I think that in the end, it's the community that decides. We had a workshop recently regarding books and the pornography in schools and so on, and it was very clear that the people who work in this district in that respect believed that it was their responsibility to control the content that comes in our schools. I think that that discussion has to be had, and it needs to be had in an open and transparent way. Yeah.
Members of the board, I just looked up that genderbread man, and on the form it then lists metrosexual.com. I can tell you right now, as the lawyer, I recommend that be removed from the school if it's anywhere, that form. Because when you
Or that it should not be allowed.
That's what I mean by removed. Because when you go to metrosexual.com, it gets into all the very things that the state said you can't get into.
I understand that, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that this would be something that needs to be referred to Dr. Pace, and she needs to look at it. I mean, making just vague.
I'm just saying to you as the lawyer, I find it in violation of the law.
I understand. Dr. Pace, I'm sure you will be able to look into what school. First, I'm sure you'll be able to tell Dr. Pace where you found it, and she can go ahead and investigate.
I don't think it matters which school. I think
It does. I think it does matter.
Okay. So I don't think it matters which school that particular drawing was in. It was in one of our high schools.
If we're asking for something to be
Can I
investigated and
Speak,
removed,
now you're interrupting me.
I think that we are having a conversation now, yeah? The agenda's over, the attorney spoke, and now we're having a conversation where we can all
These are my
agree.
comments.
Okay, well.
These are
I
my
just
sections. In section, it's board member comments.
Didn't realize you had a specific section. You can continue.
So, as what I was saying is that, number one, as school board leaders, as school board members, as the people who are elected to answer to the community, we need to come up with a policy. That's not Dr. Pace's job. It's Dr. Pace's job to execute the vision and mission that the school board comes. So if the school board comes here and we decide, based on our conversations with the community, that this is not okay, then that's Dr. Pace, where Dr. Pace comes in to execute that vision. That's what I'm saying. So I've heard from the community. In my opinion, they've been very clear. If the school district is saying that they disagree, that's one thing. The school district has not said anything officially. The attorney is saying that that would not be proper according to state statute. It has been at one of the schools. I will send you the evidence of it being at one of our schools.
Can you please, sir, tell me which one?
Lake Toho, it was Toho.
Thank you. We'll follow up tomorrow.
Okay, so aside, they've already taken it down. Aside from it being taken down, isn't our roles as leaders to make sure that they know what our policy is on this? Because if somebody put it up already with the policy that we have established, then either the policy is ineffective or the communication of that policy is ineffective. So one of those things we have to address. That's my point on that. Now I'm going to address an issue of safety. I'm going to pass this on to the attorney, for the attorney to review. But there is a parent that is saying that we are failing to act on threats by a student that he has made, that the district is very well aware of this. And if this is It very much closely resembles a lot of the allegations that the public makes about the school district, that for some reason, this is overlooked. And this is the part that I want to read in public. This seems like a serious threat, so I'm not going to read some of this information just so that you can act on the information the way that you need to. But the last statement in this email is that the schools are told to keep their discipline referrals down. It's more frightening now, and they know what's going on. They are told to keep their discipline referrals down. This is something that many, and I mean many, dozens of teachers have made reference to, that they are told by their administrators, and that administrators are under direction to keep their referrals down artificially so as not to pique interest in the situation, and that it may be causing situations that are dangerous to students. And I'll end with that.
Thank you. Seems like we do not have any other comments, so I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
They didn't name the kids. They told the school. I mean, they're going to know.